Welcome to a really interesting conversation today. Curt Anderson from B2B Tail and I are going to be delving into the topic of product configurators. In other words, helping customers determine what specific product that they want. There's a whole big conversation to be had around that. So I'm excited to bring in, as always, we've been doing this for a while now on our monthly conversation specifically for B2B manufacturers, the one, the only, the great Curt Anderson from B2B Tail. Curt, it's a pleasure having you on, man.
Joseph Maxwell, thank you, my friend. Just, being that you're a big hockey fan now, there is a little
Mhm.
Stanley Cup going on. So I've been thinking about you. And so
Oh, good, good.
I am so fired up to talk about configurators. This is like one of my total geek sessions right here. So we've got a lot to unpack in a short period of time. Why don't we
Mhm.
just go ahead and dive right in? So for our manufacturing friends out there, we're always talking about e-commerce. We've had a great conversation about customer portals. I'm a little bit on the bias side. I'd like to say I don't know a manufacturer that doesn't need a configurator, but let's just start with the basics, okay? Please explain to folks what is a configurator from an
Mhm.
e-commerce standpoint?
Absolutely. So a product configurator is the end goal of a product configurator is to help a customer identify the exact product that they want to get. And we're talking about in a situation here where there's going to be customization that's involved. So this is not just, I don't know, we go to the Apple store and we get a pair of AirPods, right? I mean, I'm aware of only one type of AirPods. Maybe I'm behind the times and they've actually sell multiple now, but like,
Right.
we're not talking about super simple things. Like, and especially in a B2B manufacturing space, there is perhaps even unlimited number of customizations depending on the products. And so our goal is to help a customer get to that destination of is the this is the product, this is the order that I want to place here.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. And let's dive in. Let's go a little bit deeper because, like, say there's a manufacturer out there, and there's only a handful of components that go into a part. And so, basically, what we're doing is like, how can you let that ideal customer? One of the
Mhm.
taglines I love to use, Joseph, is like, how do we help that ideal customer make a buying decision on a
That's
Friday
right.
night at midnight without having to wait for you to open up your doors on
Mhm.
Monday morning? So, just walk us through. So, even if there's a handful of configurations, but we're going to also deep dive if someone's out there like, hey, I have you guys don't get it. I have an infinite number. We're going to have some solutions here, but kind of walk us through like different options here.
Absolutely. So our my goal here is, well, a goal in pretty much all the stuff that I do here at Swift Otter is uh, starting small and working up from there. And the options we're going to be presenting today start at that small level. In fact, there is a chance you can get I would say more than a chance. It's a really, really good chance that you can get a configurator set and going with your current e-commerce platform. If you have an e-commerce platform, if you don't, well, that's a whole nother conversation. We should be talking about that.
That's right.
But but the idea is to take the options with a configurator and then we're going to filter it down such that the customer sees the price, ideally a estimated ship date. So again, planning purposes here,
Yeah.
and and they can see that in the cart, and then they can click place order. In other words, you have an order placed, Curt, to your point, Friday at midnight,
That's right.
while perhaps you're asleep or I don't know, having a good time and not thinking anything about business, but that order comes in here right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a client, a small manufacturer that they came up with a configurator. We call it the quote builder, but it's a configurator years
Yes.
ago.
Hmm.
And they're small 30 person, been in business since 1985, same owner, and they're attracting their ideal customers. Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Ford, a lot of major Fortune 500 companies are using
Hmm.
this little quote builder configurator. It's great from an SEO standpoint. It's great from search. It's great for pay per click. So anyway, let's dive in. You've got some wonderful examples. Let's dive in a couple examples here.
Absolutely. So this is one of the first configurators that we built here at Swift Otter. And it was for PleasantHillGrain.com. So they're a little bit more on the B2C side, although they do a lot of B2B stuff.
Mhm.
And in this case here, this was actually, I think, one of the original pages we designed. So this is what sticks in my head. But we are helping a customer find this particular grain mill and to determine the price, the ship date, and in this case, unfortunately, it's out of stock until August. Yeah, August. And but we are giving them a selection of options from which they can choose. This allows them to again see the price, the ship date, and all of this information is right here on the page. Now, to your point, you might be saying, well, what if we have an infinite number of options? To which I would respond, you probably only sell, well, first, it's not going to be probably going to be infinite. There could be a couple cases that it would be, but you're probably not going to sell an infinite number of options 100% of the time, like incredibly varied all the time. Chances are your options are going to be mostly varying in a percentage of the number of orders, right? So we can probably boil down your options into a select list of choices. Now, as far as a starting point, is this the ideal end game? No, but it is a place to start, a place to get this information to your customers. And you can also put a note on there, kind of like Pleasant Hill Grain has here. It says pre-ordering is advised. Instead of saying that, you can say, we have other options that are available. You could even list them out. Here's some other configurations that are available. Then you can call us. So it's an 80-20 solution. 80% of the options are given. Oh, let's see here. 20% of the work goes into giving your customers 80% of the options, 80% of the value. And that's a huge win because unfortunately, then the last 20% is 80% of the work. See how I flipped that around? But
That's right.
this is an option that's very, very viable as a starting point, not the end game, but as a starting point in your situation here.
Basically, it's like you're almost like your own little tech startup. And I love, and so shamelessly, I'm going to, Joseph, my mom's favorite book is called Stop Being the Best Kept Secret.
That's right.
And
Yes.
In my mom's favorite book, Stop Being the Best Kept Secret, you just took a page. That's exactly what we described is, what's your 80-20 rule, right? Every business
That's
has
right.
that 80-20. Some of them might have the 10-90, right? For an MVP, for a configurator, we're not going to try to be everything to everybody. If you take the top 5%, 10%, like just get in the game, just get it started. I'm telling you, it's going to completely change your business. I'm very biased about this, but to Joseph's point, if you attack like the 10, 15, 20% of your product line and figure out a configuration solution for your ideal customers, this can be just so powerful. Joseph, let's keep the party rolling. Let's get into another example here.
Here's another thing. And one thing I'm super excited about with this product configurator conversation is 5 years ago, me showing you a screenshot like this would be kind of like asking you to send a man to the moon. Like it would be incredibly complicated.
Right.
We're talking many six figures to do. And some companies did that. Big companies, Nike and Rolex and some of these, that have bazillions of dollars. Well, that's not your average manufacturer. You have to be very targeted with your expenditures, have a clear case for return on investment before making these type of expenditures. So this picture here from Unra Furniture here actually in Kansas City is a screenshot. They make custom furniture. And they have CAD drawings of their products, and they have worked with a company, a company called Shape Diver, and this gives them the capability to show a 3D rendering to their customers of what this product looks like. And we're going to talk about some of the advantages later, but the possibilities are endless. Now, again, lest we think this is going to be a massively expensive project, it's not. In fact, you're looking at what, 4 figures for some of this stuff, maybe starting to get into 5 figures depending on if it starts getting complex. But at the end of the day, the pricing has for this type of technology. Well, I mean, just look at technology in general. It's drastically fallen, giving you the capability to give this type of experience to your customers, which again, 5 years ago would have been unthinkable for manufacturers and even in general.
Right. Massive competitive advantage against your competition. And as you said, was that technology becomes just more and more everyday use. It just brings that cost down. It's much more efficient. Let's keep the conversation going. So all right, question for you, Joseph. Can customers find the product to configure? We started scratching that surface, but let's continue going there.
Exactly. So we could be in a situation where we have the best product configurator in the world. You just saw that last page we showed you. I would put that at pretty much top of the line as far as the experience goes. And like I said earlier, the cost to doing that has drastically fallen, which is great.
Mhm.
But in a great situation like that, we could be completely missing the point. And I want to bring this conversation up here because let's say we have a list of products on a page. I wanted to put a screenshot in here, but I don't want to make it look like I'm throwing shade or mud at anybody, any
Yeah.
company. All these e-commerce companies out there work their tail off. They're trying to succeed. And so
Mhm.
for me to put a screenshot up there just wouldn't be right. I've
Right.
seen this plenty often where, let's say, all the products on the page look the same. Uh, you're trying to figure out what the difference is, and maybe the difference is in the title that's below the image, but it's still hard to imagine. Actually, a good example. Let's say you sell iPhone cases,
Okay.
and you have these all the different iPhones in there, and let's say it's the same case design, and I don't know how many models of iPhones they come out with in the last 5 or 6 years, right? And so you have all these 5 cases that look exactly the same, right? On the same line. The only difference is this is for the iPhone 15. This is for the
Mhm.
iPhone 15 Pro, the iPhone 14, the iPhone 14 Pro. Is a customer really going to be able to quickly decipher which is the right case for them? Probably not. And so at that point, it becomes a conversation of how are we helping our customers get to the end destination? One way to do that would be to actually use a product configurator, like we just talked about, on a page, kind of like I showed with Pleasant Hill Grain, where you have a iPhone case with a design on it, and then you have a drop-down list of iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Pro. Exactly. Thank you. So, in material is the Pleasant Hill Grain option title, but instead of material, it would be
Right.
iPhone model. And then you'd have all your list of iPhones in there. So solving a problem like that might actually be a better solution, just depending on your situation, your customers' needs.
Yeah, and I think for the manufacturer, maybe they create something extremely complicated. To
Mhm.
your example, like just consider a T-shirt, right? You land on a website and
That's right.
you want small, medium, large, extra large. What color do I want? Do I want short sleeve, long sleeve? Do I want stripes on? Like think of those configurations just to create a T-shirt. And could you simplify? The more Joseph, we came up with a term. E for e-commerce stands for easy commerce, right? So let's
That's right.
dive in. Let's keep the conversation rolling. What
Mhm.
are some different types? Let's get in some different types of configurators that we could talk about here. The advantages and the challenges. What do we want to talk about?
Yeah. So first, yeah, the types of configurators, and it's really important we have our vocabulary the same here because
Mhm.
thinking of a configurator, we often jump to a 3D configurator like
Yeah.
augmented reality, where we can take this device and set it on our desk, or put a sofa in the corner, or take a piece of machinery and put it on the floor to make sure it fits or whatever. Like that's often what we think about, but there are steps that we can take in working into that direction. So, the essential configurator or the essential product configurator is what I want to talk about first. Can we go to the next slide? So, out of the box, most of this is already available. Now, there's certain extra tweaks that you can throw in there, but this is one of our clients, Simplified Building, and we helped them. We customized this a little bit further than what it was out of the box. But the idea here is we are showing a railing color, a railing length, and a quantity, and based off of that, the price available for all of this stuff. Uh, there's nothing complicated other than, again, some little visual customizations that is in this here. Out of the box, using in BigCommerce or Shopify called variants, Magento, Adobe Commerce, it would be called configurable products. Out of the box, very simple, with just some minor aesthetic upgrades here.
All right. Fantastic. Absolutely love it. And just share real quick, how did the customer come to you? Did you go to them? Like, how did, because a lot of manufacturers or a lot of entrepreneurs might be, geez, this sounds intimidating. I'm busy. I'm selling my widgets. How did this get started with this client?
The idea was the client said, "Hey, look, we want to sell more."
Yeah.
And we feel like customers are getting hung up in the complexity
Right.
of this type of a conversation. Ironically, ironically, before we landed at this spot with them, they were almost completely custom. So
Mhm.
on this page used to say, enter your railing length. And the customer would say, I want 7 foot, 6 inches. and then a price would spit out and they would click add to cart. Well, what they found in that type of a conversation was it was too many options. Custom was actually too much for the customer to decide on. So what they had to do, and they found out this was really powerful, was they gave them these preset options, which they said would make customers think, okay, well, I have a 6-foot or 7-foot option. Which do I want? But you'll notice there still is a custom button there. You can click custom, which if you do need that 7-foot, 7 3/4 inch railing, they can hook you up. They can do it with perfection,
Yes.
but you need to talk to them. And that's the vast minority of cases. Most cases, again, like our conversation earlier, out of the box, it's going to work. And that allowed Simplified to simplify, pun intended, their whole production process, their inventory, their shipment times. All of that was drastically simplified because they were able to box this up into a few primary options while still giving customers the flexibility to choose other options there.
Absolutely brilliant. Gosh, did you hear like the angels singing and trumpets playing? Like how many times do we try to accommodate every single customer when, like, they
Mhm.
just sometimes they don't know what they need. I had a
That's right.
client that told me this, maybe this will resonate with you. We were going through something similar, and she said, "You know what? This reminds me of what I used to tell my kids when they were little." She goes, "When they would come in for lunch, I would say, 'Hey, we're having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Do you want squares or do you want triangles?'" And what it did, it empowered the kids because now they felt that they had a choice or an option, but they were only getting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So the thing is, if we could limit the options, you're
Mhm.
creating that frictionless, easy commerce experience. But you're just like, hey, let's guide. And if it's something outside of what I have here, send me a drawing or let's have a
Mhm.
conversation. But you've got, on Friday night at midnight, I can still go through this process. Joseph, let's keep. I love this. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's another form of a configurator. We've probably been through those ourselves. The idea of configuring a computer.
Mhm.
Again, a very B2B example here. So in this type of a situation, we have one of our clients where you can purchase and customize servers and computers and all that. So what type of chassis do you want? What type of hard drive do you want, or network interface there do you want, etc. So you have all those options right there. You can click, see the price, and see how this affects the shipment time or the production time for these particular products. So again, another example of what I would consider to be a very basic product configurator, but it honestly answers most customers' questions right here, out of the box capabilities.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So let's get into the product customizer.
Hmm.
We've got a couple examples. Let's dive right in if you don't mind. What do we got? What's going on here?
Yeah, another very B2B example here. One of our clients, Grandstand, egrandstand.com. So, ironically, they were about 5 years ago starting with a visual 3D configurator. Now,
Mm.
what's challenging with them is since they are B2B, they have very specific standards, very specific setups that they have to abide by, again, to deliver the quality that they have to their customer. So you see this little blue box right there in the middle of the screen on that glass here, the tankard. So there you can put your logo, you can put a drawing, whatever you
Mm.
want, and those placements vary across the board for every single one of their products. It's all different. Very difficult to come up with across thousands and thousands of products. So what I'm presenting here is that while 3D configurator or a visual configurator might sound like the best option, in some cases it's not. And that was the case here for Grandstand, because customers didn't necessarily need to see it. Again, from a B2B perspective, these are these are creative buyers. They know what they're getting. They know the system. They know how this process works. And so they're not necessarily worried about seeing this product on the as like the final look right now. What they want is something quick, fast. They want a price. They want an estimated ship date. And then later in the process, after the order is placed, there will be a proofing process, which they will see a real life mock up of what this is going to look like. Very different buying experience than something like Discount Mugs or, again, a B2C experience. This is B2B, a very different approach here. So in this case, for Grandstand, a 3D configurator just didn't make as much sense for them. So we worked through this process of helping them build a system such that they can manage it themselves. Plus, their customers can easily go in, see the see the information, select whether they want this on the main front or the lip. So like you can decorate around the top of the glass. What other configurations, upload the colors, upload imagery, put text on there, put notes, all the stuff that a B2B buyer is going to want in this type of a situation.
Yeah, fantastic. And I three favorite words on this page before we move to the next slide. Configure, instant quote. What buyer, what engineer doesn't love those words put together? Configure, instant quote. I just absolutely love it. What are we looking at here?
This was a very complicated one that we actually built here a few years ago. This is for Marlowe White. So it's a little bit more on the B2C side than the B2B side. But I love this example in that this is a very complicated setup. And the reason I wanted to bring this in is we kind of like to jump to 3D first. Like if and we're talking about this in this kind of conversation, we think 3D is the best, bee's knees, we got to go there. However, there are certain things that have to be in place before we can do a 3D configurator. And in this case, a 2D configurator still is visual. It shows what the customer's getting when purchasing these military ribbons, like this is demonstrating here. But it doesn't take that final step to go 3D simply because of the cost that would be involved to making these 3D models, these 3D drawings, which would be significant at this point. So there are cases where 3D just doesn't make as much sense. This could also potentially be one of those cases, just because you would have to get like 250, 300 of these ribbons into 3D drawings. But it also illustrates that we have to get this information right up ahead of time here before going 3D. So in this example here, we have pricing that is involved. We have very custom logic and rules, very intricate rules here. We have the different renderings of all of this stuff. There's a tremendous amount of logic and rules that goes in behind the scenes here to make this type of a system work. Those rules have to be defined and known before we can make that final jump to a 3D configurator. In the case here of Marlowe White, again, one of our customers, it didn't really make sense to have to go all the way to 3D. They're getting all the value in this 2D configurator, but they've also identified all the rules, the algorithms, the pricing, the shipping times, the rush orders, all that stuff that goes into this. That has to be known. Then if they want here in the future, they could add on the 3D component to that as well.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And what I'm hearing, Joseph, is, we've talked B2B, B2C. What it comes down to, all of it, 100% of it is H to H, right? We're talking human to human. And
That's
what
right.
you're doing at the team at Swift Otter is you're helping your clients understand what does your customer, whether in the B2B space, B2C space, what do they need? How do they want to buy? How do we keep this simplistic? How do we keep it affordable?
That's right.
And just take away, we're going to slide into 3D, some heavy duty solutions. But, what we're hearing is easy commerce, lower cost, out of the box, off the shelf type solutions. And so again, we want to help those manufacturers where we don't have to feel overwhelmed or intimidated. Yes, you indeed could be talking configurators on your website, helping your customers making easy buying decisions. Let's dive into 3D augmented reality. You've got some wonderful examples. Let's dive right in.
Absolutely. So Lab Conco, another one of our customers here, they have a 3D configurator. Basically, so they sell products to laboratories. And in this type of a case, they want to help their customers walk through this buying process. Very complex. This is about as close as you get to unlimited options as you could probably get. Literally every choice, every option available under the sun. And in this type of a case, it's important to help understand what you're getting. In fact, I would argue this is so complicated, it's even hard in some cases for sales to effectively help out, just because there are so many options. Can sales really learn all the options, all the applications to be able to help a customer know that I need to educate them on these set of customizations or options versus having a product configurator that's smart enough to be able to walk them through and educate on the different options as it goes through real time. And I think that's an excellent case for a product configurator. And massive bonus here, this is 3D, so you can just drag it around, move it, look at it, zoom in, like it's all right here, completely accessible.
Fantastic. And people, if people want a little trial run, they're more than happy to check this out. And I'm
Mhm.
kind of beaming with pride of just, look at the innovation of just the engineering that goes into these products and how
Yes,
cool, say our jobs, we get out to work with these manufacturers with these amazing products that
that's right.
you walk into, a hospital or you walk into a business, you're like, well, I guess somebody had to make that. Somebody had to make that. And you get a front row seat of
That's
these
right.
innovative products. What's going on this screenshot here?
This I absolutely love this example. So this is another 3D configurator buying some wire shelving.
Mhm.
Pull up the QR code if you want to see this real time for yourself. But you can select the number of shelves, you can select the width and the depth, and all these options, which is great. Exactly what we'd expect. Of course, there is a price for this. You can add it to the cart. He has even a cool feature. You can save it for later, show it to the rest of your team. But there are two features here on the upper right that I think really highlights some of the value as we keep walking this 3D configurator on into the future, what this is. You'll see there is a export revo, I think is
Yeah.
what it called, an export to AG. Basically, you are taking this model you've drawn and you are exporting it. Well, now, how is that going to work? So think about if you are, I don't know, building out a restaurant, building out a manufacturing facility, and you come to this website, you configure these shelves and you can export them and drop them into your blueprints, your final customized renderings of how this organization is going to look or feel. You can take this and drop it in there. What a better is there literally a better way for being able to help your products get specced out than that? Like, it's absolutely amazing. And so B2B, would be like an architect taking and using this, of building an addition to a building, just I don't know, equipping a new space, redoing a space in a company. Like, all of this is right here and accessible. You can do a 3D customizer, but this is like we talked about unwrap furniture earlier, where you can take that, you can customize the table. They had those knobs. You can select the width, height, size of your table. But in that case, you could use your phone. You could actually take your phone out, and they have the augmented reality features, so you could literally, like, on your screen, like, place it in your dining room, make sure it fits. It's kind of the same equivalent of that, but for on the B2B side, where it will go into a drawing. It can be specced out, and yes, this company is going to get their name on that drawing, and their products will be used.
Well, what a powerful solution. I'm thinking about, back in the day, I had my e-commerce business. We toured tons of fulfillment centers, to
Hmm.
partner with. And I'm just picturing, some state of the art facilities that would use this exact tool as they're, specking out their shelf space and what have you. Just
Absolutely.
wonderful examples. And again, connect with Joseph on LinkedIn, reach out for deeper dive demos and examples here. Joseph, let's keep the conversation rolling here. So we're going to talk about more, advantages and challenges. I'm going to dive into the next slide. Let's go through some of the advantages here.
There are some huge advantages with working through and I think I look at a configurator as more of a process than an end goal.
Mhm.
You, as we saw even in the previous slide of that shelf example, uh, there you can just keep taking these things further and further into the future, which is great. But this process has some tremendous advantages. Number one, customers are seeing what they're ordering. You see this pretty much across the board, even with those basic examples using out of the box e-commerce capabilities, product variants, modifiers, or product variants or configurable products, depending on your platform. Customers can select these menu options, see a picture of roughly what this is going to be. It's not going to be exact, but roughly what it's going to be. That picture should follow them into the cart, onto their order summary email. They know what they're getting. Take it down to the 3D example. They know exactly what they are getting, and that is powerful. They understand this is the product I've selected. This is the product I'm going to be getting delivered to me. And I have confidence in this process.
I couldn't agree more. And what you're doing, especially, if anybody out there has had experience with importing,
Mhm.
there's that dreaded loss in translation. And what you've done is
Absolutely.
it puts everybody on the same page. And this point here is just so powerful. What do you have here?
This is a bit more on the B2C side, but it definitely still has value on the B2B side, where customers feel like they can test drive this product. And again, when we're talking about augmented reality, or when we talk about the blueprints, uh, customers can see this product. They can put it in their drawings. They can put it in their living room. They can see it in real life as much as possible. So not only do they know what they're getting, reducing returns, but they also know it's going to fit. It's also going to work for their given situation, also reducing returns.
Yeah, I'd even say I think it's even more powerful on the B2B side. I mean, just think of the engineer, like some of the products that you just showed, and just think, it's a five-figure product, but now we're all on the same page. There is no loss in
Mhm.
translation, and now we don't have that disastrous. Hey, I said the shelf should be 5 feet, not five. Like now
That's
there's
right.
no you're eliminating that he said
That's
she
right.
said, and
Yes.
I'd even say that it's stronger on the B2B side. We're talking about the efficiency, the ease. Let's go here.
Yeah. So helping customers get what they want as quickly as possible. And again, when it comes down to real time pricing, you can even, Grandstand, I know for sure has in these examples, and I know some of the other ones do too. You can log in, get your special pricing based walking through this configurator process. Salesperson is not necessary to look up their charts and try to figure out what's going on here. It's all set. It's right there. It's ready to go. Speedy answers is absolutely critical. Think Friday at midnight being able to place an order.
Yeah, and for any of the manufacturers, we've done like a dispel those myths. Like, hey, we're impeding on our sales folks. We're not. You're taking your customer
Mm-hmm.
service, putting those tasks onto your website. Let your salespeople be salespeople, right? But let your website take care of these other tasks. Let's dive in, man. Just wonderful points here. The source of truth. What's going on here?
Exactly. So we can help customers walk through the process. Most of the salespeople's conversations are going to be roughly the same as far as points go. Through my observation, again, your mileage may vary, but generally they're going to be asking about the same questions
Mhm.
and going to have a standard repertoire of answers that they're going to be given. Those can almost always be boiled down into a set of options, allowing customers to be able to see them. And in fact, if the salesperson didn't bring up a question, didn't bring up an option, which we're humans, we're fallible, it's easy to happen. A configurator even answers that because all the options will be there. They can see each one of the choices. And in fact, you can even customize the process to give even more detail about each one of those options. It just gets it all out there right there for the customer to see.
Yeah, just so many advantages here. Joseph, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Can we get something that's out of the box?
100%. In fact, that's where I recommend you start. Strip it back to the bare necessities, just the basic products. What are you, chances are what you're selling 80% of is probably 20% or less of all the customizations available. So if we can start with more of the Costco approach, where they've actually, Costco has limited their SKUs. I think they're down to 3,800. They've, or tons more SKUs than that. They're down to 3,800. We can start small with this 80/20, 20% of the options get you 80% of the value. Start there and then grow up. Eventually, you'll get to Walmart size as far as the number of options you can offer. But start with a Costco approach and then work into Walmart sizes. You have time and resources.
That's right. MVP. Just be thinking about that
Mhm.
minimal viable product. How can we
That's
help
right.
this? Just get a customer, right? Just start small and just
Mhm.
get the party rolling. Complicated pricing system. What do you have here?
This is a hard one. Depending on Grandstand, actually is a great example. They have a very complex pricing system. It's needed. They have all of these different machines and different processes and different times in order to do the customization, all that stuff. This is probably one of the bigger complexities of this whole process. Are you able to or are you able to boil down your pricing to a place that it makes sense? And it might involve some change for some of your customers.
Mhm.
That's a potential conversation point we would have to bring up because you know how business happens over the past 20, 30 years. There's this customer is going to get this, negotiate this deal, and this customer is totally different.
Right.
And so this is a potential sticking point that has to be worked through, but ultimately it's for the better, for the simplification of your books, your business, getting this into a bit more of a streamlined workflow.
Right. And just again, just getting off the sidelines, getting on the field. We
Mhm.
certainly we've kind of hit this point. We definitely can start small, baby steps.
That's right.
What I love that working with you, what you've taught me is like go to that phase approach. Just share a little bit. How
Mhm.
could we tackle this small?
Yep. Start small by 20% of your options using the out of the box e-commerce features. Get feedback from customers. What do they like? What do they don't like? What is missing from this on a regular basis? And then work up into more complicated approaches. So we might not be able to accommodate all customer pricing out of the box, but is there a way we can accommodate 80% of this customer pricing? out of the box. Maybe we even target a couple of your highest volume customers on the opposite approach here. A couple of your highest volume customers that's going to get the most value out of this, accommodate their pricing structures, etc. The different options that they're working with. And then as you get feedback, you get your feet under you, you see this is really working, your customers are loving it, then slowly start adding these different pieces in. And when you're ready, you will have a knowledge base of information ready to help target, help guide you to go into a really awesome 3D configurator if that's your end goal.
That's right. So, we're kind of like, my wife's a preschool teacher. So we want to start out at preschool level, right? And work our way up to graduate school, maybe even earn our PhD in 3D
Nice.
models. So again, Joseph, you and the team at Swift Otter just do amazing work, kind of playing the role of Sherpa guide of just getting into that whole process. But again, I'm just so biased. I don't know if there's a manufacturer out there that shouldn't be at least having a configure conversation. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts?
I agree, and there it's going to provide tremendous value. Part of the value again is this standardization process of figuring out what your customers really want. And that's going to allow you to double down on it. That has business benefits even in that part of the process, but that's not even talking about your customers and them seeing this information real time in front of them, helping them make these decisions is going to be absolutely amazing for you. In fact, one thing I wanted to also call out here, this QR code takes you to a link on our website for that has we have actually 20 examples of product configurators on our website. You can click into them, look through them, goes through a whole bunch of details as far as how these work, etc. So you might find that helpful. And I do not want to forget um, giving another shout out to Curt Anderson, b2btail.com. He is, as you have heard in this, he is a absolute manufacturer consultant powerhouse, knows manufacturers the challenges you guys are going through on a daily basis. It helps you work into this digital transformation such that you are able to really succeed in this new modern digital, maybe a little bit scary world, but he takes the scary out of it. So I want to make sure I get that quick call out in here too.
Well, hey, I'm glad my mom must have called you to tell you to go give a little shout out. So I thank you, and I thank my mom for those wonderful, kind words. And again, I think it's just, we have a deep passion,
Mhm.
we've been in e-commerce for an extremely long time. And it's just, this is
That's
our
right.
passion. This is our purpose. This is our mission of just
Mhm.
helping manufacturers. I have one more slide. If we want to get into anything here that you want to close out with.
I think that is it. I'll be honest, that slide I can't get it deleted. So
Yeah, just
it
a
was just
random. It's a loose. Hey, warning, everybody!
yeah.
We have a loose slide. It's on the prow. But Joseph, I want to give a huge thank you, applaud you, salute you. It's just such an honor and privilege. You're a man of integrity, wonderful family man. I feel iron sharpens iron. I just love hanging out with someone like yourself, and just we both share this wonderful passion for e-commerce,
Yes.
helping manufacturers. And I just can't express my deepest gratitude of riding this journey with you, that we have these little
Mhm.
lunch and learn sessions together with our manufacturers out there. So I
We
want to
do it.
thank I want to thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Curt. I really appreciate you coming on. It was wonderful having you, your expertise, and your willingness to share here with our audience here. So, Curt Anderson, B2B Tail, thanks for joining, and look forward to the second Tuesday of July, where we're going to bring you more incredible content and information, help you as a B2B manufacturer succeed.